Hardy's being talked about as a Heisman candidate and maybe even the front runner in some ways. And I think that's justifiable. And I think that if he continues to play the way that he is going to remain one of those finalists and maybe even the front runner when it's all said and done.
It's Mizzou That's Who here on KC Sports Network. Tucker Franklin hanging out with Maggie Johnson for your bye week edition of Mizzou That's Who. Mizzou coming off of a big UMass victory. Maggie, how you doing? How are things?
Good. I'm so happy it's bye week. On Saturday I'm just sitting on my couch and watching football all day, where I can watch multiple games that I haven't gotten to watch. Yeah, I'm excited about it. I know some people are like, "Oh, I can't believe we don't have football. I'm so sad." I'm tired of driving.
Yeah.
5 weeks in a row is a lot. I know most Mizzou fans agree. It's a lot to drive multiple hours through construction and figure out your housing situation and stuff if you're staying or driving back or whatever. But yeah. I am ready for a bye before we face a pretty daunting looking Alabama team.
Yeah, Alabama coming off of a victory over Georgia. In Georgia, in Athens. That's a big win for Alabama. They obviously will play Vanderbilt this week. Episode this week coming out a little bit later than usual. That we have our episode coming.
I kind of feel like I haven't seen you in a while.
I know.
We're a little bit closer earlier in the week.
Right. Yeah. So we have a great conversation with you guys for the PFF's Trevor Sikkema. He's their lead draft analyst there. Loves Ahmad Hardy. We're going to talk a lot about Ahmad Hardy in today's podcast. I hope you guys are in for that. I hope you guys are okay with talking a bunch of Ahmad Hardy because he looks real good. I mean, Maggie, I don't know how you felt about the Missouri's win over UMass. We'll touch on it briefly before we haven't even talked about like the SEC opponents that Missouri got put out because of like our podcast timing of like that. Our podcast came out right before they announced the schedule, and then we just haven't gotten to it. So we'll talk about those and kind of how that all shakes up. But a little bit about UMass in the homecoming game. It didn't feel like to me watching the game that it was like that. Like dominating of a win, right? It kind of felt like they kind of sleepwalked through at least the first half. The second half they played better, but the first half kind of felt like a little bit of a sleepwalk. And then, you look back at the box score and you're like, well, I mean, Bo Prabila played pretty well. He set the record for consecutive completions in a game. That's pretty good. And then you look at Ahmad Hardy and you're like, well, he still had a pretty decent game. And then the advanced numbers come out. I think Parker Fleming, Stats of War, tweeted out that like Missouri beat UMass. Like he does the how bad did we win or how bad did we lose graph, and Missouri beat UMass more than worse than anybody around beat any other team, and it didn't.
Which I don't know
that way.
I don't know if we've ever been first on that chart. No, so I was shocked.
It was a weird feeling game because it did feel like it was just one of those like ho hum. Okay, let's get through it. Let's get to the bye week. Let's not get hurt. Let's not do. It was a get through it game, and they got through it pretty well, and I was just kind of shocked about the advanced numbers liking the Tigers as much as they did.
Yeah, I mean, we had 521 yards of total offense.
I'll do it.
So, I mean, anytime you do that, obviously Ahmad Hardy had another really good game. We got 3 quarterbacks, and Tommy Locke got some time in. So that was cool. Again, the biggest thing I think this year so far to me has been the time of possession. Like we've just dominated the time of possession in every single game, getting the defense off, the offense off the field for the opponent, I guess, has really benefited us a lot. You can take your time going down the field. I don't know. I've really enjoyed watching our offense, even though it's being productive, but you might not be scoring fast. And I think a lot of people associate that with those big plays, but Mizzou's not really needing those big plays to win the game, I guess is the point I'm trying to make there. So yeah, I was scared in the moment, but then I looked at the stats too, and I'm like, oh, okay, never mind.
Yeah, it was Bo made that really bad decision early, and he threw the pick, right? He threw the pick in the red zone right after I think Mizzou got their interception, and it not a good decision. It's like the second week in a row we've seen him just like kind of forget about an underneath defender, and a linebacker picked it off, nearly housed it. They do allow a touchdown, but then they block the extra point, right? And like that was it for UMass on in terms of like production. Like the defense continues to play incredibly well. Their 3-and-out rate is insanely high. Like they just force teams off the field in three plays, and like that includes even Kansas and in South Carolina. They had a lot of 3-and-outs. I mean, the third down, they are so good defensively on third down, which you love to see. That obviously that'll be big coming up against Alabama. But to have a bye week before the Alabama game, coming off of a homecoming game, I mean, as you mentioned, 5 weeks in a row at home, which does make things easier. There's also 5 straight weeks of playing football. It's probably going to be nice for those guys to kind of relax a little bit. I'm sure. I mean, they're still practicing and everything, but like to have a full week to just focus on Alabama after getting through the UMass game is huge. And that game is on ABC, by the way. The Alabama Mizzou game, ABC placement. I know that people are upset about it being 11 a.m. I understand.
It's been 11 a.m. since like June.
Right. Right. Correct. They weren't going to move it. Right.
No.
I think Gabe made this post on Twitter. It's like the SEC wants good games every single window. Like they want a good game on every window. This just happens to be an early game window where look, it's fine. It's on ABC. So I'm not upset about it. I know there's some people that are upset about 11 a.m. mainly like people for tailgating purposes. Obviously it sucks, but like, it is what it is.
We're just tailgating before and after. Hopefully, it just means that
that's a good call too.
Yeah, we'll do breakfast in the morning, some smash burgers in the afternoon. Ooh. But hopefully, we're happy about like it's a good tailgate.
Yeah,
if that makes sense. I mean, no one wants a sad tailgate.
No. Well,
after a game.
Hey, I'm going to wait until like Missouri or Alabama plays Vanderbilt. I don't know if you've seen what Diego Pavia has been talking about how like
he's always talking.
Dude, that guy's insane. I love Diego Pavia. I love
Wait, hold up though. Did you see that Johnny Manziel is going to Bama and standing on the Vanderbilt sideline?
He's like mentoring Diego Pavia. And I was like, awesome. Good. That's good for Diego. Gosh. What? Johnny Manziel's on the Special Forces, by the way, this season. I don't know if you know that.
No.
Special Forces. Are you into Special Forces?
I have not watched that. Is that a show?
Yeah, it's where celebrities basically just get berated. Like they go to like this like military training, and he's one of them. Him and like the sister wives' dad or husband. I guess he's a dad.
Oh, but, yeah. Interesting. Might have to check that out.
It is an interesting one. But I will say, like, him and being like, oh, yeah, I want to be mentored by Johnny Manziel is legitimately hilarious. Like,
I mean, football-wise, I get it. Every other aspect of life, I don't know if
Johnny Manziel and mentor has been mentioned in the same sentence ever.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure if you just watch his, like, untold stories, like, I didn't read the playbook, I didn't do that. I'm like, I don't know if that's really, truly who you want mentoring you, but I don't know. Who am I to judge, I guess?
I legitimately love Diego Pavia. Diego Pavia, when he was at New Mexico State, was one of I loved him. I think we even talked about it on the podcast before. I was like, hey, like this guy at New Mexico State's insane. He went to New Mexico and like pissed on their 50-yard line and got suspended. I don't know if you remember that story coming out. And then they had to play in like the New Mexico Bowl, which they were the home team in that game, got to like practice at the New Mexico facilities, and they almost did not let New Mexico State do that because of Diego Pavia, because of everything that he did. So he's insane. I think they have Jerry Kill on the coaching staff, right? Is that how he ended up there at Vanderbilt? Okay.
Yeah. And they got quite a few guys that went from New Mexico or New Mexico State or wherever they were at, to go to Vandy. So.
That team was good. That New Mexico State team was really good. So like, I'm not surprised that since they got a lot of those guys that Vandy's been good. But Vandy, I mean, that'll be a tough game. It looks like I think Bill Connolly's S&P Plus has it as like a coin flip right now for Missouri and Vanderbilt. So that should be a really good one. That's on the road too.
That's a tough road game for sure. I'll be there.
Yeah, that's a good road game. Nashville.
Oh, I'm not going to miss it. Also, when you're now with the new upcoming schedule that I think we're going to talk about here in a sec.
Yep.
You don't know. I mean, you do know when you're going to go to Nashville again, but I don't think it's till 2029. So it's like, If you want to go to Nashville, now is the time to do it. There's still tickets available, by the way.
Interesting. Yeah, looking at it now, at Nashville, at Vanderbilt in 2029. So as we mentioned at the top of the show, let's get into it now. Missouri, the SEC did announce the future opponents for SEC opponents. They're moving to the 9-game schedule. Obviously, that means only 3 non-conference games. I can't imagine they'll do 4 I know they have some 4 non-conference games scheduled. I can't imagine that they'll do 4. I don't even know if that's even possible. They're like, oh yeah, we'll let you play an extra game. But looking at the 2026 opponents, Maggie, at home, you get Florida, Kentucky, Oklahoma, Texas, and Texas A&M. Oklahoma and A&M obviously being 2 of your mainstay opponents. And you get Texas, Kentucky, and Florida at home. I think that's a pretty decent home slate, truthfully.
Yeah, it's not terrible. Obviously we have Texas A&M at home this year. We're getting another Texas A&M.
Yeah, back home games.
Back to back home against A&M. Then we're doing back to back at Arkansas. So I guess that's just how the schedule worked out. Yeah, it's not terrible. You get Texas back at Mizzou for the first time in
years,
a very long time. Yeah, I mean, definitely the 2010s, I would assume, or not even the 2010s, the 2000s, I would assume. So it's been a long time since they've been there. OU's always a fun one. Kentucky, you never know what you're going to get. Last time Kentucky came to Mizzou, it was madness. So yeah, it was the roughing the punter. Yeah, I mean, I don't mind it. The road games are tough.
Mm-hmm. They are.
Yeah.
And the road games for that 2026 season at Arkansas, at Georgia, at Ole Miss, and at Mississippi State. Mississippi State, the scrappy ball club.
They are scrappy ball club.
They are sticking in some games. Who knows? Jeff Levy might have some things turned around there. He might starting to be turning some things around there. But those road games, you do have extra home games, obviously, in the SEC schedule this year. But with those 4. Arkansas, Georgia, Ole Miss, and Mississippi State. It feels manageable, though, Maggie, looking at that SEC schedule. There's nothing that's like, oh, boy. It's nothing like the 2027 roads.
Yeah.
Where you're looking at it and you're like, yeah.
The minute I saw 2027, I was like, oh, no. I was like, this might be those years. We talk with Trevor here in a little bit about what drinks down at Mizzou, and that, you could possibly have some up and down years, but nothing that's shouldn't go away permanently. I think that 2027 could be one of those rebuilding years, especially if Bo Pribula does stay around for 2026. And then that's Matt Zoller's, first starting season is 2027. You're replacing a lot of players that year, most likely, because 2026 would also be Ahmad Hardy's he would be eligible for 2027 but the way that he's playing, he probably unlikely would be drafted. Yeah, it would be unlikely. Exactly. Drink's done a great job of replacing players. I'm not saying that it can't be another great year, but man, you go to Texas A&M, Oklahoma, Alabama, LSU, and South Carolina. Well, I'm not sure that you could get a tougher. I mean, you could maybe if you replaced South Carolina and Tennessee with home and away that year, but you're still playing Tennessee. Maybe if you replace that it could be a little bit more difficult, but I'm not sure you can get a more difficult away schedule than what you're looking at in 2027.
100%. And I kind of had the same reaction of you, just like, oh man, like that's brutal. I remember when this was happening, I think I was live tweeting from like the Mizzou That's Who Twitter account when this happened. I saw it and I was like, golly, that is absolutely brutal. But at the same point, I think Gabe Garman also made this point of just like, that's what you want. Like this is like if you want to go to the college football playoff, you want to have a schedule like this that'll set you up. If you are at a position the Missouri program wants to be, this should be a schedule that they can take care of business if they want to be in the conversation. And that's one of those things where like, all right, you just can't hang with the big dogs. You got to stay on the porch. So this is going to be one of those times where they're going to have to see if they can hang at that point. But you're right. Drink has done a really good job in the transfer portal and high school recruiting. I think his high school recruiting has done really, really well. He just got a recent flip from, I think, Mississippi State on an edge rusher who was at the was he at homecoming or was he at South Carolina? I can't remember which one he was at. But he was at one of these games recently who flipped from Mississippi State to Mizzou. And he's been doing good there, obviously in the transfer portal as well. look, we came into this year and there was a lot of kind of unknowns about like how good this team was going to be, right? And because we're like, I got some new pieces. They're replacing some guys that have had a lot of production. Brady Cook, they're replacing Luther Bird, and they got to replace some guys on the defensive line, and they haven't missed a beat. So like that's a very really this year is the reason that I have optimism for that 2027 year of just like, okay, like. You want to be in the SEC, you want to compete for national titles, you want to make Missouri a brand, you got to play schedules like that. And you got to play schedules, you got to go on the road, you got to win some tough games. Those are going to be tough games. I mean, those programs, who knows where they're going to be in 2027, but as of now, those look like they'll be tough games, and I'm truthfully excited for that 27 because, as you mentioned, Zoller's first year starting likely, and we'll see how that all shakes out. But what I do think is really interesting what they did is so they took your 2026 and 2027 opponents, and then so your 2028 opponents are your road games flipped to home games, and then your home games flipped to road games, and then your 29 are your 27 opponents flipped locations wise. So I think that's a cool way that they did it, just to kind of mix things up. And then it also gives them 4 years out, right, of opponents. That also is very helpful. But anybody on the schedule, Maggie, or not on the schedule that you wish was on the schedule
for
next year?
I mean, I'm excited. I'm excited about Ole Miss. We haven't played at Ole Miss since 2013, so I think that's a really cool. I think that's a really cool one. Obviously, with the permanent opponents, we haven't really talked permanent opponents on here. Texas A&M is like a meh.
Both Missouri and Texas A&M fans felt the same way about it. We're just like, whatever. I mean, yeah, fine.
We talked on here about how all of us would rather have South Carolina, and how that just South Carolina made more sense. And you watched our game against South Carolina, and it made sense. I think that they've had this plan for us to get Texas A&M for a while. It's just kind of annoying because it seems like they just threw it away on us. They're just like, oh, well, you guys were in the Big 12 together for basically as long as we've been in the SEC together.
Right. Yeah.
I think short, like a couple of years. So that's a perfect matchup. And I'm like, it's not really though. That to me is trying to manufacture a rivalry the same way people accuse us of manufacturing the Arkansas rivalry. That's how I feel like this A&M one is. But we also have to remember that they only have these schedules set for 4 years. So
right.
They could look at it in, 4 years from now, going into 2030 and be like, you know what? We're not a big fan of the Missouri A&M. Maybe let's flip it and give that to South Carolina or something like that. So nothing is permanent. It's just permanent for the next 4 years.
Right. Yeah. The phrase permanent opponent is very funny because it is not actually permanent. Like, it's not actually who your permanent opponents are going to be. Yeah, I think Arkansas made sense, obviously, because the SEC tries to make that a rivalry.
Oklahoma makes sense. We played them almost 100 times. Like,
yeah, that's true.
Definitely makes sense for that one. I would have liked to have South Carolina.
I thought about one of the ones I would have liked was Tennessee. Well, I know we haven't played Tennessee in the last couple years. It's been 2 years since we played Tennessee, right?
23.
Yeah, but like that started to become like an actual, like there was some animosity there between it. I mean, Tennessee fans, they hate Eli Drinkwitz. He is broken.
They hate him.
Yeah.
Like you look at any comment or anything that has to do with Eli Drinkwitz or Missouri, and there's Tennessee fans everywhere on it. Yeah, dare I say, did he break them a little bit?
I think he did.
I think he broke them. I think he broke them a little bit.
Well, here's the thing. It seems like every time Missouri starts to gain some like animosity, actual real life rivalry animosity with a team, the SEC just pulls it. Like you talk about South Carolina, like they don't have South Carolina next year. The next time they're going to play South Carolina is 2027. And like there's some real animosity towards South Carolina. Tennessee, even 2023 was a lot like they get that game, they go for the field goal, they miss it, stand on business game, right? And then they pull that game. They don't play it for the next 2 years. So Kentucky's the same way. Kentucky, it felt like every time Missouri and Kentucky played, there was something obviously weird would happen, but then but the fan bases started not to like each other. And then they pulled that game. So it just feels like every time they start to like build momentum with actually building a rivalry, the SEC's like, Arkansas. Yeah. You're Arkansas.
I would have rather had Kentucky than Texas A&M.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yes.
Like, I think that would have been better. Also, here's the thing too, is everybody was saying, oh, well, they're doing a lot of it based on geography. And I'm like, okay, well, Texas A&M is like the third furthest place from us. It's basically like going to Florida. I mean, it's not close at all.
Isn't like Lexington weirdly close to Columbia too?
I mean, it's from me, it's like 4.5 hours of
so it's
a drive.
probably like what, 5,
like
6?
Six, yeah, something like that. But I mean, for the majority of fans, and I don't want to say majority because a lot live in Kansas City, obviously, but the team's flying, so it doesn't matter how close the team is. It's like an hour flight everywhere. For fans, it's so much more doable to do Kentucky or Tennessee. I mean, Knoxville's kind of far, but it's not as far as College Station. So, yeah, I was underwhelmed with it just because there's not much of a rivalry. I was annoyed with Texas A&M fans talking about it because I felt like the way we were annoyed about it was different than the way they were annoyed. I feel like they didn't want us because they think they're too good to play us.
Right. Yeah.
As opposed to us who are just like, we don't want to play you because there's nothing there.
Because we don't care about you. Yeah.
Yeah, we don't care about you. I felt like the reasons were a little bit different, but
yeah, yeah, I'm glad that they got Ole Miss. I'm glad they got Georgia back in there. I always like those Mizzou-Georgia games. Those are always games that are like weirdly close, Mizzou and Georgia. Mizzou's played Georgia really close in years past.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
we gotta find a way to beat Kirby Smart though, because we're 0-8 against Kirby Smart.
Oh gosh, that's brutal.
I know.
Yeah, no, I like the schedule. Obviously, you talk about the non-con games. They have 4 non-con games scheduled for 27, 28, and 29, which at least one of those non-con games is going to have to go away. I think you have to have a power 4, right? In your 3 non-cons is what one of the rules is too.
Yeah,
so 2020
in that role.
Yeah, 2026 is Arkansas, Pine Bluff, Troy, and Kansas. Right now, Kansas is scheduled for 9/12. That's the week before they go to London. That Kansas goes to London. So, bummer that you don't get them the week after, actually. But
no.
We'll take it.
We're not catching them on jet lag.
Yeah, not getting the come down after those international games for college teams.
Which also, I don't even understand. You just spent millions of dollars. I don't know if they're supposed to be the home or away game.
They're supposed to be phase 2 of their stadium build is going to be going on. I think that's what so like their stadium's not going to be at full capacity anyway. So part of the reason, at least this is what Nick Springer, who does our KU podcast, was telling me, because I had the same question. I was like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, why would you do that? And because they're going to be doing more construction on their stadium.
Are they going to be closing their stadium down again for a year?
No, I don't think so. I still think they're going to be playing out of it. So it'd be kind of like what Missouri's doing right now. Maybe like, remember, I know we joke about this, but like Vanderbilt was like an active construction zone, and it's like they were doing so much to their stadium, but like, yeah, well, no, we'll still play it. It's fine. They could have like played at Nissan Stadium, but they're just like, no, we'll still play.
Yeah, they could literally go down the street. It doesn't change anything.
I know, but that's crazy. But yeah, I think that's a part of it, is that there's like, because getting the stadium done was like phase 1, and they have like 3 or 4 phases. I don't really know. He was telling me, and I was like, that's stupid. But
budget billing.
You're right. Honestly, Eli Drinkle's looking snazzy on the on his construction update. Not that. I mean, he's wearing like dunks in the construction zone with them.
I love how people are commenting. They're like, "You're not OSHA. You don't have glasses." Or and I'm like, okay.
Of course, the Missouri fan base would be the one to call him out for OSHA violations. You know, like, oh yeah, I'm gonna report you. But yeah, the memes coming from that is so good. We talk about that a little bit with Trevor Sikkema as well. But Maggie, should we go ahead and get into the interview? Anything else before we get into our conversation with Trevor?
No, let's get into it. It's so great. He's very knowledgeable, so you guys should like him.
I love Trevor so much. I had the opportunity to talk to him plenty over the years. A lot of times that I talk to Trevor is actually about the Chiefs. So, and his big thing is the NFL draft. He's always watching these prospects. So I thought no better time. And if you follow Trevor on Twitter, you know that he's tweeting about Ahmad Hardy. Dude loves Ahmad Hardy. So we're going to give him the opportunity to wax poetically about Ahmad Hardy and try to give him a pitch for Heisman. So very excited for that. Very excited for our conversation with Trevor. But first, I got to call all Chiefs fans. You could be on the field at the 50 inside GEHA Field for the official coin toss at a Chiefs home game this season. Visit Chiefs.com/GEHA now. Enter to win a chance to be on the field for a once-in-a-lifetime view of the pregame coin toss. Plus, you can score other exclusive prizes. Enter for a chance to win at Chiefs.com/GEHA. GEHA is a proud partner of the Kansas City Chiefs. Let's take a timeout. When we come back, we'll be with PFF's Trevor Sikkema. Don't go anywhere.
Looking to remodel your home and in search of a top-quality company to do the job? Contact Elenco. Since 1986, Elenco has been the remodeler of choice for customers throughout Kansas and Missouri. As a family-owned and operated business, Elenco provides customers top-quality products and unbeatable service straight from their family to yours. From windows and doors to siding, insulation, and bathroom renovations, there's no need that Elenco can't meet and exceed. Elenco only installs products that have proven track records of success, such as the Kohler Luckstone shower system. Elenco's installers are factory-trained professionals who know how to get the job done, not only quickly, but flawlessly. Whether you're located in Kansas City, Topeka, Wichita, or a rural town in northeastern Kansas or western Missouri, Elenco will come to you. Go to elencohome.com for more information. That's ALENCO home.com. Again, elencohome.com for more information and contact them about all your home improvement needs.
Chiefs Kingdom, I have got a question for you. What is your favorite touchdown? Well, for me, I can confidently say that my favorite touchdown, it's the next one, because with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL, every touchdown could bring you closer to cashing in. From the first touchdown score to anytime touchdown props or the thrill of live in-game betting, every snap is loaded with opportunity. From spreads to money lines, same-game parlays, regular parlays, you want it, DraftKings has got it. Here's the best part. Bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bets instantly. I use DraftKings Sportsbook, and you should too. Your team hitting pay dirt pays out to you. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code KCSN. That's code KCSN to turn $5 into $200 in bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, fees may apply in Illinois. 21 plus age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bet must win to receive reward. Minimum minus 500 odds required. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio.
What's up, guys? I'm BJ Kissel, founder and CEO of KC Sports Network, and I'm here to talk to Kansas City businesses. If you rely on technology, you need an IT support team that's not just another vendor, but a true IT partner. That's why I want to introduce you to my friend and neighbor, KJ Miller. He is a VCIO at ThrottleNet, the Midwest's highest rated and most reviewed IT support company. They've been in business for more than 25 years, helping companies stay secure, productive, and ahead of the curve. They aren't just IT support, but they provide data security, IT strategy, and cloud software services. They do it all, and their reviews show they do it better than anyone else. So if you want to hear about how ThrottleNet can help your local business, join the conversation with myself, KJ Miller from ThrottleNet, and our resident genius from KC Sports Network when it comes to IT, at least as he's affectionately known by us, Mr. Craig Stout. Click the link in the description to hear how ThrottleNet can help you.
My name is Terrell Jolly. A lot of people call me TJ, founder and CEO of Integrity Capital Management. So Integrity Capital Management originally started out as a property management firm, but we slowly transitioned to what is described as an incremental development firm that's focused on situational housing. I know most people say affordable, but we believe in creating housing for people that are actually in need and built to the end user. I believe everyone needs a home because when you have home, you have hope. The reality is that when you're building a business, one thing you don't think about is like what a true banking relationship means. And, I had the honor and privilege of meeting Debbie early on in my career when I was just trying to get going. And as a small business, it's really challenging at times because people don't understand the concept or not believe the longevity because you're just getting started. But Debbie was willing to take a chance on me, be patient with me. I almost look at it like a grassroots initiative. She's seen and believe what I'm about. Anybody that's really true about their business and want to get some things done, I would definitely trust hands down Enterprise, because Deb's team, along with Aaron and Jackie and all the amazing people that work behind the scenes, even from the treasury side, I would say, hey, give them an opportunity, because you won't be disappointed, and you will actually be in hands that actually somebody care and that will see you from start to finish.
Trevor, welcome to the podcast. Appreciate you hanging out with us here, talking some Mizzou football on a Mizzou bye week. How you doing? How are things where you are?
Things are great, man. Football season, full swing, whether it's college, NFL draft, whatever. I mean, this is my favorite time of year, just trying to intake all the football that I possibly can. And of course, the weather's turning a little bit. We're getting the days where you can just open up the windows and the doors and all that. I mean, like, it's a beautiful time of year, guys. I appreciate you having me on to talk about a little football.
I think right now we're a little bit far out because Mizzou is a bye week, but I think it's saying like sunny and 75 for the Mizzou Alabama game next Saturday in Columbia. So I'm like, I could take it a little bit cooler because, we are in the Midwest and we like our falls, but I'm going to take sunny and 75 for a football game like every day.
You should. That is perfect football weather. It really is.
It's going to be a really good game next. We got plenty of time to talk about Mizzou, Alabama, but Trevor, I want to get your thoughts on a guy that you've been tweeting a lot about and been trying to get him off the Missouri Tigers, but we want him to stay for as long as he can. Ahmad Hardy has been a guy getting a ton of buzz. He's getting a lot of, and now it seems like he's getting more Heisman buzz and a little bit more Heisman recognition than he should. I've heard some people call him Genty in a real conference. That is what some people have called Ahmad Hardy. You had John Gruden calling him Marshall Faulk mixed with God. Can you kind of tamper the expectations, or do you want to keep building the expectations on Ahmad Hardy?
I don't think I can get higher than that. I truly don't. But he's just been incredible to start this season. I mean, we have two metrics that we like to lean on when it comes to sort of how we evaluate running backs, because it's always like a tricky part, right? So much of a run game, you have to have a talented running back. He's got to be able to see the field. He's got to be physically gifted, like all of these kinds of things. But so much about rushing success, you talk about Ashton Genty, has to do with the offensive line in front of you. And he was talented enough to where at Boise State, they didn't have the best offensive line, but he still made up for it consistently. But now we're seeing in the NFL, when you jump up to the next level, if you don't have an offensive line that's executing, even a guy as talented as Ashton Genty can sometimes struggle. But the way that getting back to sort of Ahmad Hardy and like how fantastic he is, these two categories and two data points that we have over at PFF that we love to lean on to sort of, again, separate a running back's talent away from their offensive line as much as we can. Missed tackles forced per attempt, and then yards after contact. And the reason why we like to lean on both of those data points is because missed tackles forced per attempt, doesn't matter if you're making a guy miss in the backfield, the line of scrimmage, in space, whatever. If you're lowering the shoulder and breaking a tackle that way, if you're putting your foot in the ground and making them completely miss with agility, whatever, how often are you forcing missed tackles? How often are you a plus when the ball was in your hands in that regard? And then yards after contact, sort of the exact same conversation. You can get hit behind the line of scrimmage, at the line of scrimmage, at the second level, wherever that is, but your yards after contact average is something that we like to look at. And again, we put a decent amount of weight when it comes to evaluating running backs like that. Ahmad Hardy is phenomenal at both of those numbers. I'll try to contextualize as much as I can here, but he has a 0.44 missed tackles forced per attempt average so far this season. And to somebody that might be like, all right, is that a lot? Is that a little? That's a lot. That is like Bijan Robinson level when he was coming out of Texas. Like that's the level that you want. Some of the highest numbers that we have ever seen on a consistent career basis are in the 0.4s. If you're like in the 0.2 to 0.3 range, okay, like that's pretty good. You're pretty solid. If you're in the 0.3 to 0.4 range, you go, okay, now that's a talented running back. If you're 0.4 and above, you go, this kid's special. Like that's somebody who's truly making a difference every single time they touch football. Ashton Genty was sort of those numbers. He was in the high 30s, low 40s. And then yards after contact, anything above 4 at the college level is fantastic. He has a 5.3. And, there's the plays that everybody thinks about, like the one where he just met the linebacker square and the linebacker ended up being the one who like fell over and he ended up being the one who just took off down the field. And like those are the things where that's when the numbers come to life. Like those are the plays where you see that type of talent come to life. And I know it was joking around / maybe not joking around about him being eligible to go to the NFL this year instead of having to wait because he is an underclassman. He's not draft eligible yet. But you just watch a guy like that. You see the numbers, you see the tape, and you go, that's an NFL player playing at the college level. And in fact, could be an NFL star playing at the college level. And it's not often that you can very easily point those kinds of players out, but Ahmad Hardy is one of them.
For those that don't know a lot about the PFF system and how you do all these rankings, does strength of schedule play into that at all, or is it solely just player stats?
No, it's just individual, sort of like how they played and everything. And I think it's up to whoever is viewing the data to sort of weigh that strength of schedule more or less. Like the grades that we have are simply, how did you perform? Like, what was the result? Did you get a positive result on a play or a negative result? And, technique goes into this, of course, and we've had the opportunity to really sit down with a lot of the data collectors and the graders, and they sort of walk us through like a play-by-play process. And a lot of times it'd be like, hey, technique obviously goes into success rate, but a lot of times we're not necessarily looking at exactly how it's done. We're just trying to see, did you get the job done? Because styles can be a little bit different for everybody. So really what PFF grades are specifically are the results on a play, like how well you are doing your job. And when it comes to that next step of the evaluation, for me, when I put my NFL draft hat on, that is when I go to Ahmad Hardy's film and I go, okay, the overall numbers are fantastic. How'd you play against the 3 toughest teams you played? Right? In the SEC, it's very easy because they get a lot of NFL tests a lot. But, the Alabama game, there's going to be a lot of guys at Alabama that play at the NFL level. Okay, well, I know that you're going up against potential NFL competition. Guys at Georgia, guys at Tennessee, like whoever it is, there's a lot of NFL competition there. And so, yeah, you kind of want to see them beat up on the smaller opponents, if you will. And so you like the numbers to be inflated. But the real test is when you go up against that NFL competition, when everybody on the field is kind of as fast as you are or as fast as you might see at the pro level. If the strength level is there, if the size is there, that's when you really sort of dig into those numbers and see, did he have those same sort of difference-making stats against potential NFL guys?
Well, I think you bring that up and you look at the schedule that Missouri's had. They've played already 2 Power 4 teams right in Kansas and South Carolina. And a lot of the conversation around Ahmad Hardy coming into Mizzou was, hey, he did it at a high level at ULM. The Sun Belt's a little bit different than it is the SEC. The SEC is kind of a step up. First game against an SEC team, he gets 22 touches, 138 yards and a touchdown against South Carolina, a defense that has some pretty some NFL bodies on it. I think we can say about South Carolina. So what was that impression like when you first saw him against South Carolina? Is that when you kind of realized of like, okay, yeah, he did it against Central Arc, he did it against Kansas, and 250 against Louisiana, right? That's a big number. But when you saw it in South Carolina, was there more to it where you're like, oh no, like this guy is actually it, rather than just running against Louisiana and Central Arc?
Yeah, so I mean, you do take that into account with those different opponents, but I'll tell you this too, like competition level is one thing, but I think that big moments and big games are also important. Like, for example, when I am watching guys from an NFL draft perspective, it's a little different, position to position. Like, I think what I'm about to say probably means more for a quarterback than anything else, but I love rivalry games. Kansas and Missouri, like that's a rivalry game. Like your school is getting up for it. Your coach is making sure that you're up for it. You hear it from the fan base and everything. Like that is a hyped up game. And so how do you play in that sort of big moment? Obviously, like South Carolina and Missouri, Drinkwitz and Shane Beamer have quite the rivalry going on since both of them have become head coaches. And so even though it's not like a traditional rivalry, like right now, I would say that it's a rivalry. And you get to the end of the season, whoever you're playing in rivalry week right after Thanksgiving, championship games, what's it like when hardware is on the line? Whether you have a trophy that you get to hold and put in the trophy case or a banner that you're about to put up, like you talk about strength of schedule, and strength of schedule obviously is important, and you think about that, but I also think about rivalry games. So going to that Kansas game and that South Carolina game, for you to rush for over 100 yards in both of those games, I mean, those are statement games. That's you showing up when your team needed you most, and the emotions are running high, and there's a lot of pride on the line, and I think that's just as important because as much as I think that people think about PFF as like, oh, like they're the numbers guy and everything, certainly since I took over as draft analyst, and I know that Mike Renner before me was like this as well, there are the X factors of playing sports. Anybody who's played sports before knows sort of that emotion, that hype, that adrenaline, that pride that is involved in some games versus others. And how you perform in those means a lot. And so for Hardy to be able to step in and represent his team and help his team in those specific games, I think is just as much as saying, hey, strength of schedule, these are good teams. That rivalry factor also is something that I pay attention to too.
So we've made it to October. Missouri Tigers are 5-0. If you haven't heard, I think most of our listeners will know that. Oh, yeah. But kind of like you said, it's not just Ahmad Hardy doing the work. Like, it's the offensive line. It's the defense has put up outstanding numbers. The offense has put up big numbers as well. Besides Ahmad Hardy, who else are you kind of looking at? Who else is drawing your attention as, a draftable type of player?
Yeah, so Bo Prabula is playing really well. And I mean, he's playing well to the point where we've now got people going, oh man, did Penn State pick the wrong guy, at quarterback? And it kind of I looks like that might be the case. I mean, if I was drafting, I would probably still take a chance on Drew Alder and just the tools that he has. But Bo Prabula is playing at a level where that's a legit conversation at this point, because he's taking care of the football pretty well. He's been a pretty good decision maker. It hasn't been perfect for him, but the accuracy is up. That confidence is there. And playing for a guy like Eli Drinkwitz I think that's an underrated part of him as a coach is, he's fiery. I mean, like he goes about it his own way, but like, man, his dudes have a lot of confidence. They take that part of the identity of their head coach on. And I love that that's in the SEC. And you see that with a lot of those players. And I think you specifically see that with Prabula, right? He transfers. Drinkwitz says, you are my guy. Like, he obviously gets him to come to Missouri, and you see him playing with a lot of confidence there again, early in the season, big rivalry game against Kansas. And I felt like he was up for the challenge there. Kevin Coleman Jr., their star wide receiver, he's got an elite PFF receiving grade so far this season, 5 games in. He's on the smaller side. So, if we're talking from an NFL draft perspective, it's you just kind of got to live with that. He's probably a slot only guy. He's not going to get a lot of yards after contact for you, but he is lightning quick. He's got that good body control to him. And as long as he has those reliable hands, he'll be somebody that the NFL takes a look at. And then on the other side of the ball, the 2 defensive linemen that they have, Damon Wilson, second, and then Zion Young. Those are 2 guys who I think the NFL is going to have their eyes on as well. I think Zion Young is higher for most people. He would be higher for me when it comes to that overall big board and where you're drafting these guys. And what I really like about Young is, man, when I watched him last year, I'm not going to lie, like I thought he was a draftable player, but I didn't see like a highly impactful guy, or at least translating what he did well last year to the NFL level. I thought, okay, maybe this guy's, got the strength and length to maybe be a 3-4 defensive end, somebody who's more of a 2-gapper or something like that. But the hands are so much faster this year. They're so much more purposeful. He's much better as a pass rusher than he was last year, or at least he is more efficient in that regard. When I'm watching him on film, I think that he's got more juice this year than he did last year. And I think that comes with more confidence, having more pass rush moves, and just really getting in the lab and being better with your hands. And so those are some guys that, as I've watched Missouri, those are the NFL draft guys that I've watched so far. But of those players, I think Prabula would be the highest that I would think could get drafted. And then Zion Young's probably after that. For some people, I think Young might be higher than Prabula even, but we'll see how this season goes and see where these guys end up.
And Prabula still has a year of eligibility left, by the way.
Yes, he does. Yes.
You never know.
You throw a bag at him, drink is what they need to do. Trevor, I want to talk about Bo a little bit more, because I think him coming into the season, there was that, he played at the Big Ten. He had to come in and make some spot starts for Aller. They had a package for him as well at Penn State. But a lot of it was him running the football. It was a lot of his legs. It was a lot of that. And there was a little bit of uncertainty with him throwing the football. I'm no film breakdown expert, but I've been really impressed with how Bo Prabula has been placing the ball, has been throwing the ball. His accuracy has been one of those things that have been really impressive to me. And now maybe that's a little bit of just the quarterback that they used to have. He's a very different style, I feel like, of quarterback than Brady Cook was, right, than at Missouri. So maybe it's a little bit different. I've been really impressed with his ball placement for a guy that was talked about as a run-first quarterback. Mm-hmm. His throwing the football has really impressed me. I don't know what stood out to you about his.
Yeah, I mean, he's got one of the highest passing grades that we have, certainly in the SEC and also in the country. He's 87.1 passing grade that we have this season. Last year, it was good, but like you said, it was just such a small sample size there from him. What I'm impressed with him is you're right, those accuracy scores are fantastic. He almost has an 80% adjusted completion percentage, which adjusted completion percentage, right? It takes mainly drops out of the equation, where if you hit a guy in the hands and he drops it, well, on the common stat sheet, you get an incompletion. But we know that shouldn't be the case. So that we have completion percentage, and then we have adjusted completion percentage to take in drops into account. So 80%, I mean, that's about as high as you're going to find anywhere in the country, certainly as the season goes on, and you get a lot of games under your belt. So it's a fantastic score there. It goes into what you were talking about with the true ball placement, not just accuracy, but ball placement, being able to get these guys to have yards after the catch. And, he doesn't have a ton of big time throws. Like, his big time throw percentage is just 3.7. I mean, that's fine. It's on the lower side of things, but his turnover worthy play percentage is 1.7, and you want it under 2% ideally. And so that's a great spot for him to be at. We'll see sort of as this competition ramps up, where he's had a couple of opportunities where he's needed to make it happen with his arm. But as we get into SEC play, I think there's going to be a lot more of those opportunities. And so naturally, once you get into conference play, that's when you really start to see that big time throw percentage and turnover worthy play percentage move and adjust to really where this player is. And so far, so good for him. Before they've getting into the teeth of the SEC schedule, they have still played good opponents. And I think that's important to reiterate. Again, the Kansas game, the South Carolina game, like, those are legit games. Those aren't just throwaway games at the beginning of the season. Specifically in that Kansas game, he had an elite passing grade, which, again, you go into it, that's a rivalry type of an environment, and he played really, really well. So he is somebody who gives you a little bit of that dual threat ability. He's less of a runner this year than he was last year at Penn State, even in the limited amount of time that we saw from him there. But when you take care of the football the way that he is, and when you're as accurate as he is, the NFL is going to notice, because being able to put the football exactly where it needs to go, even if it's just 20, 30 yards down the field consistently, it's extremely valuable. And as we're seeing, like, with the Indianapolis Colts, right? I think that's a really good example. I mean, Daniel Jones can push the ball deep down the field, but the biggest difference in what the Colts are this year versus last year is Daniel Jones could put the ball where it needs to go from 25 yards in. He has the ability to push it, but mainly how valuable he is for the Colts and Shane Steichen's offense is he is very repeatable and he's very consistent 25 yards in on those situations. And so Prabula is kind of playing that way, where he's just very consistent right now in a lot of that underneath and intermediate stuff. And I think that's why you see Mizzou's offense rolling the way that it is.
I watch the Chiefs. I support the Chiefs. I'm from over there. I know it's kind of early in the season, but I'm not as big of a NFL person as I am a college person. Is it looking like next year is going to be a big year for quarterbacks? Because obviously there are years that are bigger for quarterbacks as opposed to not. So I think that plays a decision on whether players leave and things like that. But is it looking like one of those years so far this early in the NFL season?
It doesn't look as star-studded as it has like in years past, right? A couple of years ago, we get, 5 quarterbacks that go in the top 12. In the 2021 draft, we had all those quarterbacks go in the top 5, top 10. It just doesn't seem like one of those drafts. And, guys like Fernando Mendoza at Indiana are having a really good year. Dante Moore is playing really well for Oregon. John Mateer's playing great for Oklahoma as well. But all of those guys, it's like, okay, there's things to like, but there's also drawbacks. It's not like those guys are Trevor Lawrence caliber of prospects or something like that. So we know that the NFL is always going to be very desperate for quarterbacks. The teams that are in the top 10, there's a good chance that a handful of them need to change a quarterback. And with that being the case, whether these guys are worthy of it or not, they could get selected that high. But it's not the type of year where you go, okay, if we have a top 10 pick, we feel great about some quarterback being available for us. I think it's going to be a little bit more of a beauty is in the eye of the beholder type of a draft when it comes to these quarterbacks. You might find some teams that go, hey, Fernando Mendoza, yeah, we had a first round, we had a top 10 grade on him. You might look at other people and they go, yeah, I mean, I had a second round, third round grade on him. And so I think that's just sort of the feel of the class right now. But we have a lot of really big games left. And Mendoza's playing really, really well for Indiana. I mean, if he keeps playing well, he's going to continue to get like the Jared Goff comps. And we've seen how much success he has had as a former number 1 overall pick. And so that's sort of where the quarterback class lies right now. But there is a lot of college football left to play.
Last one I got for you. I think Maggie might have a couple more for you, but I want to go back to Ahmad Hardy. Mm-hmm. What do you think he has to do? What kind of season does he have to put up to win the Heisman? We saw Ashton Jeanty have a good year last year, but he got invited to New York, didn't end up winning the Heisman. Does he have to beat that? Does he have to get to that 2,600 mark, the Barry Sanders mark, or what do you think it has to be?
No. I think the only reason why Jeanty didn't win it last year is because we had a truly special individual in Travis Hunter who didn't just play both sides of the ball. He played both sides of the ball incredibly well. I think there were people out there who are ridiculous saying like, oh, he's just a cardio warrior. He's just out there playing a lot of snaps. And that's not what it was. I mean, he was just phenomenal at what he did on both sides of the ball and heavily impactful for that Colorado team. And obviously, like getting coached by Dion, I think goes into the narrative and the hype of potentially winning the award. But no, you don't have to have a Barry Sanders type of a year for Ahmad Hardy to potentially win the Heisman. It really just depends what your competition level is. And right now, I mean, there's not really a quarterback. I mean, maybe Mateer, I guess, maybe Dante Moore, like those are guys who are in the conversation, but they're not lighting the world on fire right now. And so I think we're in a situation where Hardy's being talked about as a Heisman candidate and maybe even the front runner in some ways. And I think that's justifiable. And I think that if he continues to play the way that he is going to remain one of those finalists and maybe even the front runner when it's all said and done. I don't think there's a certain mark. It just kind of depends. For running back, it always depends what your competition is. Like, do you have a wide receiver that's breaking, like national records? Do you have a quarterback who's going to go number one overall or something like that? And I just don't really see that. So I think the path is easier this year than in years past for him to potentially win that award.
I think I saw something that said like years that end in 5-2 running backs are winning Heisman. And I'm not saying people will find stats for anything, but I'm pretty sure that might even be the last time a running back won.
I'll look it up.
Yeah, might have been. You know what the funniest correlation of awards was for me is there was a point in time to where every single year that Taylor Swift had an album come out, the San Francisco Giants won the World Series, and it was like 3 in a row. Like I'm pretty sure it was 3 times in a row. Like every time that Taylor released an album, the San Francisco Giants were winning. I think it was the World Series.
10, 12, and 14, or it was like
that was it.
What's so crazy about those Giants, I know this isn't a baseball podcast, what's so crazy about those Giants teams is like they would win the World Series and the next year they would not make the playoffs. And then the next year they'll win the series. Like that's the craziest part about those Giants teams. And obviously one of those teams beat the Royals in the World Series in 2014. But so 2015, looking at the Heisman, the winner was Derrick Henry.
Yeah, that's who I thought it was.
Pretty good football player.
There you go.
Had a pretty good season. Reggie Bush in 05. Ever heard of that guy?
No, not bad. Okay. All right.
90, let me check.
We're due, is what you're saying.
Eddie George, 95. Wow, yeah, it is. I think we're due for a running back. I think Maggie's onto something here.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you, get a little bit into your Florida roots here.
Okay.
We're obviously in that time of the season where we're already seeing coaching turnover, right? Where we've seen Arkansas now, just as of this week. We've seen Virginia, UCLA. We haven't seen Florida. We haven't seen Florida yet. Billy Napier is still the head coach of the Florida Gators. But obviously, there's a lot of talk. And a lot of talk amongst that is the head coach of the Missouri Tigers, Eli Drinkwitz, and whether or not he's on that short list of people that would maybe go to Florida. What are your takes on that? Is he on your short list? Do you have, a short list of your own? What's it looking like for you?
Yeah, I mean, look, I really wanted it to work out with Napier. I really did. And obviously, he's still the head coach of Florida. They got a big game against Texas coming up. And they've got a schedule where, hey, if he turns around and wins like 6 in a row, I'm probably not getting fired. But like to this point in time, like the results just haven't been there. And I think the most disappointing thing is that they ended last year on a really strong note. And the whole plan for Napier was building to 2025. Like even when he got the job, okay, well, he was bringing some of his Louisiana Lafayette guys over and he was getting his own recruits in the building. He was really changing things over from an era with Dan Mullen that really just started to sour and go really downhill really quick after a lot of success there. He was really just trying to change the culture in the building, but it was all building towards 2025. And here we are in 2025 and it's a massive flop. So it's hard to not look at this situation and think that he's not basically coaching for his job every single Saturday. When it comes to the candidates, I've certainly heard Eli Drinkwitz's name. I heard it last year before Billy Napier went on the run that he did, if Drink would be considered, and he absolutely should, right? When you have consistent success in the SEC, yeah, like you're going to get considered if you think that there is sort of a step up in pay or where like the level of competition where you're at or just program overall. Like if he believes that or if people out there believe that, then I think that he would consider it. I think that anybody would consider it, certainly from the Florida side of things, because of how much success and how much knowledge of this league he already has, which I think means a lot because when you look at the last 3 head coaches that Florida has hired, it was Jim McElwain, it was Dan Mullen, and then it was Billy Napier. Jim McElwain obviously proved to be a terrible hiring for them because he really just could not coach and was not ready to coach at the SEC level. Dan Mullen certainly was. They went to SEC championships with him, and they had some of the best offenses in the country with Dan Mullen. But Dan Mullen, I think I don't know if it was just got tired of the criticism of Florida, didn't really love to recruit, because Dan Mullen's a great football coach, but I don't really think that he loves recruiting. And so there was a lot of stuff that was going on behind the scenes that didn't make it work before they parted ways there. And then Billy, Billy comes up from Louisiana Lafayette, and you go, okay, well, this guy, he's saying all the right things. He's got the win percentage. He's a program builder, all of that, but he gets the SEC and it's too much.
It's hard.
So I think that with Drinkowitz, like, yeah, he should be considered by anybody at Florida because of the success that he has had in the SEC. There's a lot of other names that are getting thrown out there, like Lane Kiffin, right, in the same situation where he's already in an SEC school. Do you make him an offer to come over to Florida? Does he think that that's the right option for him? And like Drinkowitz kind of in the same seat with that. People have potentially talked about Marcus Freeman. I don't think Marcus Freeman's believing Notre Dame. I really don't, even from somewhat of a quote unquote down year. I mean, they made the national championship last year, for goodness sake. So I don't really think that that's a realistic option. I'm a Kurt Cignetti guy at Indiana. Ooh. I mean, Cignetti has won everywhere. I mean, he won at JMU. He recruited some incredible players. I mean, you look at that Indiana team last year. Basically, all of the draft guys, the guys who got drafted last year, they're JMU guys.
Right.
He got those guys to go to JMU, and then he developed them and he coached them, and they transferred with him when he became the head coach of Indiana. And now they're off to the NFL. Now he's developing what could be QB1 off the board in Fernando Mendoza, getting him in the transfer portal from Cal. And now he comes over and, maybe he's in the Heisman conversation. Maybe he's in the QB1 conversation when it comes to the NFL draft. And so I think this dude's just a hell of a football coach. And I think he's a winner. I think he's got a little bit of a, what should I say about his personality? Colorful personality, brash personality. Where
we're used to that.
I think he can handle the SEC. I really do, and I think it'd be fun. So those are, I think, really the main names that I hear at this point when it comes to if Florida's job eventually becomes open.
Yeah, makes a whole lot of sense. I mean, he's probably going to go back on some of the comments he's made about the SEC if he wants to go to Florida. To be fair, but Look, who doesn't have to go back to some comments they've made about the SEC anymore? Right.
I'm sure even if Drink left, he would have to go back on comments that he's made. I mean,
for sure, right?
Yeah. We're just hoping it doesn't happen. Here's the thing about Eli Drinkwitz. I think he's a perfect fit at the University of Missouri, just like I think Lane is a perfect fit at Ole Miss. And I think that because since we've been in the SEC for 15 years now, announced way before that, we're still the misfits of the SEC. We're very well aware that we're still the misfits. People say we don't belong, kick us out. So that's the Big 12, yada, yada, yada. But that is who Drink is. Drink he is the misfit coach of the SEC. I just think that, and he also gets paid a lot. He's getting paid like $2 million more than Billy Napier right now. I'm pretty positive. So I don't know. I just think where he's at is great. I said this last week, he's the king of Columbia. But, you put a big brand in front of him, I get the appeal.
And obviously, like I talked about how much respect I have for Drink as a head coach and what he has done in Missouri, like the prospects of him at Florida obviously make sense. But I also love him at Missouri, genuinely, because it's sort of what you said, like Alabama, the brand, they're kind of always going to be good. Texas, probably the same thing, right? Like LSU, like a lot of these teams in the SEC, the brand is big enough to where they're always going to be good the majority of the time. I don't know if that's always going to be the case with Missouri, but I know it is with Eli Drinkwitz. Sure, you're going to have down years. Everybody has down years if you don't have the right players, if you're transitioning, things like that. But you also get a handful of years where you start 5-0. You're ranked. You're in the college football playoff conversation. And I love that for Missouri. I love the depth of the SEC with the coaches that we currently have where they're at. And I just think that Drinkwitz absolutely goes into that, is what he has been able to do for Missouri. And whether you want to call them, like the team that's like not really in the SEC, don't belong. I mean, they have belonged with him, certainly over the last handful of years, where he has been able to get guys in the transfer portal, recruit guys really well. That's a talent hotbed there. And he's been able to hang on to a lot of stars. I mean, Luke DeBurden, of course, is one of those guys who's from the area, and he's able to get him to stay in Missouri when he could have gone to any other school in the country that he wanted to go to. And I think that also is something that really speaks volume when you get those talented guys, those homegrown guys, to be able to stay. So I think he's doing a terrific job. Funny story about Drinkwitz is, so I got married last March, and I got married in Atlantis in the Bahamas.
Oh, nice.
Drink happened to be there with his wife, just like on vacation. And my wife, Alyssa Lang, she works for the SEC Network. She is a sideline reporter, host. She does just so many things.
We're big fans.
Oh yeah.
So
We're big fans.
So she knows Drink very well, and it was funny. We were somewhere else on the property or whatever, and my wife's dad actually texted her, and it was like, "Hey, I think the Missouri coach is here, like at the bar." And Alyssa's like, "No way." And so like we go over there, and she says hello to him, and he's freaking out and saying hello and whatever. And he's like, "What are you here for?" And she's like, "This is my wedding." And he was freaking out about it, but he was very nice. I love Drink. He's a great dude. And so it was just a very funny story of like just so random for that to be the case. But it is a really cool, like little funny thing that him and Alyssa kind of get to joke about now.
That's awesome. That is awesome. Well, we got to get Alyssa on the pod next, I think. I think that's next. We get Alyssa on the pod here. But,
put in a good word.
Yeah.
She'll be able to talk about college football at a much higher level than I do, man. She is the true ball knower in the household. She really is.
No, she's great. I mean, as a female that likes to talk football all the time, like, look up to her. She's great.
Means a lot. I will relay that for sure.
Please do.
All right, Trevor, appreciate your time. Now, did you see the picture of Eli Drinkwitz in the construction? He just tweeted out, like, I think a couple of days ago.
No.
I'll send it to you because it might be the funniest picture I've ever seen. He's like swagged out in the construction zone. He said construction's going well or something like that. It's so funny. I love that so much.
He got a lot of Bob the Builder comparisons. And
we need the personalities all over the SEC. We need the personality. So I love it.
It's so good. But Trevor, thank you so much for your time on this Mizzou That's Who podcast. That's going to do it for us. For Trevor Sikkema and Maggie Johnson, I'm Tucker Frank. We will see you next week to preview a huge matchup against the Alabama Crimson Tide. So we will see you guys next week.